Sunito means little dream, tells Usnevi to the children, as they gather around him to listen to the story of a block that was about to disappear. This story is of Washington Heights in New York, or New York, as Usnevi calls it. Filled with hate and rhythm, this place was bustling with life and musical stories. Kid Miro's voice on the radio alerts everyone about the latest block party, called the Fiesta in the Heights. The alarm clock wakes Usnevi up. He looks at his childhood pictures with his father, and the best days of his life that he spent with him. He says goodbye to his abuela and leaves the house. His optimism is lightly phased by the gum he steps on, but he carries on. After interrupting a graffiti artist working on his shop, he opens up his bodega. He's a young man who is from the Dominican Republic, and hasn't been back there since his parents passed away. He notices that his fridge broke due to the heat, and the milk has gone bad. He doesn't know how he will serve coffee now. Abuela enters the bodega and suggests using her mother's old recipe for that, which substitutes the milk with condensed milk. He hands her a lottery ticket, like he does every day. After all, she is the woman who raised him, even though they aren't technically related. All in all, life is tough in the Heights. Kevin Rosario runs the cab company to finance his daughter Nina's college education. He gets his coffee from the bodega, excited to meet Nina, who flew in earlier. Daniela, Carla, and Cuca are the salon ladies, who continue their gossip as they get their snacks from the bodega. Cuca doesn't forget to make a pass at Usnevi before leaving. Then Sunny, Usnevi's cousin, walks in late for work. They work together and serve their customers who come to the bodega to buy all kinds of random stuff. Benny comes in a little later. He is an overachiever, stellar employee, and Usnevi's homie. He teases Usnevi about his crush Vanessa, who enters the bodega talking to her new landlord on the phone. She is moving away, and Usnevi is smitten with her, but still can't ask her out. The world moves on around Usnevi, but he stands still in his bodega, dreaming to fulfill his parents' legacy with his little dream. It's 3 days until the blackout. The legender walks up to Usnevi. He is a lawyer and is just back from the Dominican Republic, where he checked Usnevi's father's old bar, called El Sunito. The place is in a shambles, and that's why Usnevi has the opportunity to buy it and bring it back to life. He is excited about his little dream. But his dream is no bigger than Nina Rosario's. She is the academic of the Heights and is like a little sister to Usnevi. She makes plans to catch up with Vanessa over a free manicure and pedicure. Then she drops in on Benny, who works for her father, and is still pining over her even though they have broken up. She meets up with Usnevi and Sunny on the streets. Sunny invites her to join him in the march next week, against the authorities who are trying to kick out the DREMers. After saying yes, she joins Abuela Claudia in the kitchen, who is preparing to cook for the party this weekend. She never had kids of her own, so she raised all the kids on the block. Nina confides in Abuela about feeling out of place and lonely at Stanford, and she teaches her how to show her dignity and visibility in small ways, just like their forefathers did. Walking towards her home, Nina smiles and greets the familiar faces she has known all her life. They hold her in high regard with pride, but little do they know how much of a disappointment she feels like on the inside. She is the one who made it out, and they all look up to her to succeed. But she might be back home for good. She sees all the hard work her father put in all these years, down the drain. She tells herself to breathe, and meets her father for lunch. She tells him of the discrimination she faces at Stanford, and admits that she let the deadline for the next semester pass on purpose, because she doesn't want her father to lose everything just to let her keep going to a college that doesn't even fully accept her. Her father doesn't accept this, and tells her he'll fix it and pay nevertheless. Usnevi shows the old bar to Abuela, who is concerned about his workaholic habits. Usnevi tells her that this labor will be different, as it is his dream, not just a means to survive like the bodega. He intends to take Abuela and Sunny with him back to the Dominican Republic if they agree. Abuela is ready to go. Sunny tells Usnevi that he has no emotional connection to the doctor, and that New York is his home, as this is where he grew up. He reminds Usnevi to focus on his dream, not rope him into this. Meanwhile, Kevin calls Stanford and finds out he can still pay the balance from the fall semester and the fee for the next semester. It's 2 days until the blackout. Daniela's salon is an example of how the block is disappearing. The place has given people both physical and emotional makeovers for decades, and is now relocating to the Bronx because Daniela was priced out. Now, she is trying to convince her clients and employees to commute to the new location in Grand Concourse, which is 3 stops away from the Heights. Nina comes into the salon and gets a warm welcome from everyone there. Daniela starts to catch her up with all the gossip of the barrio while washing her hair. She mentions Usnevi sleeping with Yolanda, and Vanessa gets offended. While waxing her brows, she asks her about Benny's size. They move on to talk about her graduation when she tells them she dropped out. Vanessa takes her lunch break and goes back to her apartment to foster her secret Sunito of being a fashion designer downtown. She has big dreams and no intentions of catering to all the mindless boys who keep pursuing her. She goes downtown to dumpster dive for old thrown-away fabrics and rushes to a rental she's trying to get. The realtor can't help her unless she can provide a credit check or get her parents to co-sign. The The brightness of her face dims as she sees a white couple getting to the realtor after her, wondering how it must be to have it all so easy. She comes to Usnevi's bodega and tells him about her failure, while she stands by the fridge holding onto a chilled Coke bottle. Usnevi goes up to her and acts goofy to cheer her up. He manages to bring a smile to her face as she walks to the register, where Sunny asks her out on Usnevi's behalf. She says yes to going to the fiesta with him, and goes back to the salon across the street. Usnevi dances and cheer, but can't help but think that his dreams take him back home, while Vanessa's dreams take her away. Later that day, Benny invites Usnevi and Sunny to join everyone, who have all gone swimming to beat the heat. Usnevi goes out with Benny, while Sunny stays back and comes out of the bodega with brilliant news. They sold a winning lottery ticket yesterday, and now Benny can't stop visualizing how nice his life would be if he turned out to be the winner. Sunny spreads the news on his way to the pool. They all have different ideas of how they would spend the money if they get it. The polarity of Usnevi and Vanessa's dreams is clearer than ever here, because all Usnevi thinks of is to use the money to settle down with Vanessa, Abuela, and Sunny, while all Vanessa dreams about is making it out of the heights. Usnevi calls the number out, but no one there has the ticket. Eventually, the winning ticket was never turned in. It's one day until the blackout, and Abuela Claudia is at the dry cleaners to get Nina's mom's hand-stitched towels cleaned. When she gets the invoice, she backs out and tells the shopkeeper she will think about it, as it is more expensive than she expected, just like everything else in the barrio. She walks out of the store after welcoming him to the block. Nina and Benny meet up, and Benny can't help but admit how glad he is to have her back in close proximity. Nina points out that it was he who broke up with her in the first place, but he explains that he can't be the one holding her back from her dreams. Nina doesn't want to get into it with him, and enjoys the sounds and vibe of her beloved block. Together they reminisce about their teenage years, when life was just so much easier and more fun than it is now. The Heights was their sweet little haven, where they would get in trouble and fall in love without a care in the world. Benny tries to give some perspective to Nina, as he tells her that life is more kind to you when you're home. Nina confesses that all the learning she did all her life has apparently taught her nothing, and she is as clueless and lost as ever. He comforts her that she can still do wonders and change the world, all while being grateful that she is at home at last. They hold hands and walk around their old childhood spots. Benny enters Kevin's office to give him his afternoon coffee, when he sees that he is in a meeting with Pike, the owner of the dry cleaning store that bought out half of Kevin's business. Benny overhears some parts of their conversation, but walks away in contempt. Usnevi is at Sunny's house to convince his father to let Sunny go with him to the doctor. He has done his research, picked out a school for him, and has made other arrangements for Sunny to have a good life there. Usnevi goes on to talk, to assure him that he'd take care of Sunny, while the tattooed man stays quiet. Sunny's father is unbothered by it all, and is more focused on drinking. Usnevi tries to build his case, and pleads to him so that Sunny can get a life they both couldn't. Sunny's father points out why he always gets paid in cash. Looks like taking Sunny to the doctor would be a problem for Usnevi. That's why he goes to a legender's office, to find out if he can hold off the transaction for a while, to tie up some loose ends before his departure. But he finds out that it's too late now, as the check was cashed out, and the place belongs to him now. It's the day of the blackout, and Abuela and Nina have made a lot of food for the party. Usnevi is wearing his father's old hat, and tells Nina that Sunny's father has granted him permission to go. Sunny is setting the table, and Usnevi tells him that he wants to talk to him later. The bell rings, and their guests arrive. Usnevi can't take his eyes off Vanessa. He goes to the kitchen, and Vanessa follows him. He compliments her, they flirt, and she gives him a beer. They go to the lounge, where everybody is singing and dancing. Everyone is having a good time. Usnevi helps Kuka with the stain on her shirt, and Vanessa notices it, but doesn't let it show that she minded the interaction. They're all having dinner when Benny shows up to the party late. He is not in as much of a cheerful mood as the others, and confronts Kevin as soon as he sits down at the table. This leads to Kevin giving a toast about how he came here with his wife, who he sees now in Nina's face. He informs everyone that he has sold his business to Pike, which gets mixed reactions from the table. Benny and Nina are disappointed and confused. Abuela Claudia is concerned about this decision, while the salon ladies are happy for Kevin. Kevin raises a toast to Nina, who can now finish what she started at Stanford. But Nina is not grateful or happy about this. Kevin confronts her that he is aware of her lying about the deadline extension. Nina argues that there were other factors besides finances too. She has felt isolated because of a lack of community, unlike her parents when they first came to America. She confides in everyone about how she got searched on moving day when her roommate lost her pearl necklace. Kevin doesn't budge, which leads to Nina blatantly declaring that she will not go back to college, accusing Kevin of pressurizing her for accomplishing his dreams at the cost of her happiness and comfort. She refuses to take his money and leaves the apartment, slamming the door behind her, while Benny goes after her. Benny is drinking alone at the bar in the fiesta while Nina is with her friends. Vanessa and Usnevi get there, and he is rambling on, while Vanessa meets everyone there who knows her. Vanessa gets lost in the crowd of the people who surround her, and her friends take her away. Usnevi joins Benny at the bar, and Vanessa gets there too. A guy approaches her and asks her to dance. She refuses, but Usnevi tells her she can dance with him if she wants to. Vanessa goes to the dance floor with him, while Benny tells Usnevi that she is trying to make him jealous. Usnevi replies that he isn't jealous, while he watches her on the dance floor moving along to the music with one guy after another. All the guys keep hitting on Vanessa and buying her drinks, while Usnevi watches from the sidelines, downing drink after drink. Usnevi spots another senorita at the bar and brings her to the dance floor. They dance together, and people gather around them, including Vanessa. However, the girl's passionate dancing gets too much for Usnevi, and he backs out. Benny asks Nina to dance with him too. Usnevi finally meets Vanessa on the dance floor, and she asks him to dance, but he insists on getting them shots and goes to the bar, leaving her behind, high and dry on the dance floor. She looks at him in disappointment when the lights go out everywhere. The blackout causes confusion in the club, as Nina, Benny, Usnevi, and Vanessa all try to look for their partners in the dark. Meanwhile, Sonny lights the barrio up by lighting fireworks with his friends. Nina, Benny, and Usnevi have regrouped, but they are still looking for Vanessa, who is nowhere to be found. Benny sees some problems happening with taxis on the street and runs to the dispatch, because even though he'll no longer have a job tomorrow, he has one today. Vanessa finally finds Usnevi and is upset with him for abandoning her. They both argue, and Usnevi tries to fix it by asking her for a dance, but she seems to have had enough. She walks away, and Usnevi tells her not to go away, at least for this night. She doesn't listen and decides to walk home alone. Kevin comes to the dispatch to find Benny there, who has improvised with a generator to still run the dispatch, to help a woman in labor get to the hospital during the blackout. Usnevi and the salon ladies go back to Abuela's house. Usnevi checks up on Abuela, who doesn't seem okay, even though she's happy to see the stars out in the night sky while being surrounded by loved ones. Benny and Kevin are working together at the dispatch to navigate traffic. Usnevi helps Abuela lie down, while Vanessa works with some ribbon at her apartment, which she picked up on her way. Sonny joins everyone at Abuela's apartment, while she watches them all contently from her bed. She recalls all the obstacles and struggles she's faced in the journey of her life that led her here. She remembers how she lived through it all with patience and faith. She feels like she has done it all, she has lived her life, and fulfilled all her dreams. That's why she heads into the light she sees at the end of the tunnel in her mind. Usnevi comes to her room to find out that she passed away in peace. With teary eyes, he calls out to Daniela to call 911. She stays by his side while he listens to the paramedics informing him that her heart gave out, due to the stress and heat. Defeated, Usnevi wails and sobs while others join him. This night, all of Washington Heights holds a candle vigil in her loving memory. Usnevi wants to take a break from telling the story to the children, but his daughter urges him to go on. It's been 3 days since the blackout and Abuela's passing. Usnevi is in his room, looking at the old photos and thinking of the best days of his life. He meets Vanessa, who finds her noisy and chaotic apartment awfully quiet now. He talks to her about how the recent events have made him think about the people he loves, and she is one of them. Vanessa reminds him that he is about to move to another country, but Usnevi argues that is not happening until August. Vanessa gets teary and tells him he'll find many girls like her, as she's just an ordinary girl. Usnevi sits down with her and reminds her that she is an artist. He tells her that even in school, he used to watch the doodles in her notebooks instead of paying attention to the board, because of how fascinating he found them. They sit together while Vanessa cries. Kevin tells Benny that the block used to be Irish when he bought Rosario's. He bought it because his father wanted him to drop out of school to work on the same farm as him. So he moved to America to build his own business, but he never could finish high school. However, Nina did. Nina finds her mother's hand-stitched towels, which Abuela had kept safe, and smiles. She joins Sonny in the protest, as promised. There, Sonny comes to the realization that he won't be able to go to college because he doesn't have any papers, just like Vanessa. He leaves the protest and sits on a bench with his jaws clenched, holding back his tears, because his Sunito New York isn't really his to claim. Nina holds her hand to comfort him. Nina comes to Kevin, who is doing his finances. She tells him that she has found her Sunito. She wants to put her education to good use and find a way that gives every undocumented kid a pathway. This is how she can listen to Abuela's advice and assert her dignity in small ways. This is when Kevin feels like he has achieved his Sunito. His daughter can finally do better than him. But he is even more proud, because that isn't because of a fancy expensive degree, but because she can see a future that could never be seen. He kisses her on the forehead lovingly and advises her to never give up. Usnevi is taking out the trash when he finds Vanessa's crumpled up form in it. He sees that her reference information isn't filled out. He goes to Daniela and tells her that the rental downtown that Vanessa wants is still available, and she needs a co-signer who is staying in the country. So he requests Daniela to co-sign for Vanessa, as a personal favor. Daniela listens to him quietly, loads up the rest of her stuff on the moving truck, and prepares to relocate to her new salon in the Bronx. She wants to say goodbye to everyone, but the streets are empty because of the heat, so she finds everyone down in the dumps in the absence of their matriarch. She gathers everyone's attention and cheers everyone up by asking them to toughen it up. because Latinos aren't bothered by heat, but rather, they find opportunities to have a fiesta, even in such weather. Carla and Cuca join her as well, and this is when Vanessa enters the scene, agitated by their silly optimism all the time. But the salon ladies pay no heed to her, and tease her about how Usnevi is in love with her. Usnevi comes too, and excitedly breaks the news of his upcoming departure to everyone. He tells the block that he's closing shop and booking tomorrow's flight to the Dominican Republic. Kevin also hears all this, as he has stepped out due to all the commotion by now. Everyone is dancing and singing. Daniela manages to get her hands on Benny, and teases him about being extraordinarily cozy with Nina these days. Everyone's enjoyment is interrupted by Sonny, who tries to bring their attention to the fact that they are powerless, and he's not just talking about the electricity. He points out that they are losing their block, and have no control over their fate whatsoever, and Vanessa agrees with him. Usnevi corrects their way of thinking with a fresh new outlook, and offers Vanessa to dance with him one last time, without thinking about what could have been. Washington's Heights spirit is elated even further when the power comes back on, and the barrio finally bids farewell to the salon ladies. It's been a month since the blackout. Nina and Benny decide to stay by each other's side while Nina goes out into the world to conquer it all, as an independent, yet loved woman. Usnevi is about to leave, and is going through Abuela's old things when he finds the winning lottery ticket she left behind for him. He is about to go out, when he sees that Vanessa has come over to see him off before his flight tomorrow. He invites her in and asks about her new place. She replies that she hasn't felt inspired, and goes on to ask him to have a date with her. She requests him to stay, in the hopes that maybe he can save the block. She doesn't want him to leave, because her heart can't take it. Finally succumbing to her feelings, she kisses Usnevi and leaves. Usnevi uses the money from the lottery ticket to fight for Sonny's green card, and hands it to a legender before he leaves for his flight. This is his way of helping Sonny get his Sunito. Vanessa is in the block, comes across some old graffiti spray-painted rugs, and inspiration strikes. It's time for Usnevi to finally leave the Heights, and he feels a strange nostalgia overcoming him. As he is heading back to his homeland, he feels nostalgic for the temporary haven that he has learned to call home. Vanessa grabs him by the hand and leads him to the bodega, where she has come up with her new collection representing her community and culture. Usnevi is so moved by what Vanessa and the others have done to his place that he finally decides to stay. He gets the love of his life, who is now the mother of her daughter. All because he built his Sunito at home, flourishing in the little dreams of his loved ones.